Welcome. Glad to have you here today. The topic today is the getting out of a dark night of the soul. If you don't know what that is, you probably aren't in one right now, but I guarantee you've been through at least one. It's almost impossible to be an adult and not have gone through one of these times. You may wonder where that term came from, and it actually originated with a Spanish monk named Saint John of the Cross. He termed that dark night of the soul, and he wrote about it in his poem called Noche Oscura, about his own mystical experience. You should know that a dark night of the soul is when something terrible's happened to you, something extremely challenging, and often it's a series of things very close together that just knock you down really low. But it's more than what happened to you. I really feel like a dark night of the soul is about a stage. It's moving to a new stage in your spiritual evolution. It happens to you when you're a highly evolved person. You're at a pivotal point in your spiritual development. And it really is a milestone in your soul's evolution. So let's say your angels have been telling you, showing you, you need to make a change. You need to get out of a relationship. You need to change careers. You need to move to a new area, and you're resistant, and you know you need to, and you just don't do it. You don't want to. I look back and I can see that it was in those moments that I had these dark nights of the soul. And it's almost like, oh yeah, you are supposed to do this. You want to do this at a soul level. Your higher self knows it. We're going to make it happen. And that's when your life feels like it turns inside out and upside down. But it's not just something happening to you. It's a rupture forming between your past and your present circumstances. And it does tend to be drastic. It's a period of great emotional pain, confusion, and despair. Later, you will recognize that everything in your life before this time was preparing you for a challenge. So it's time you need to set that aside so you can enter this higher chapter of your life. Instead of focusing on what happened to you, how you felt, where are you now? What have you realized? What are you seeing? It can be ferocious and unrelenting when these moments, not moments, they're chapters of life happen to us. But when it ends, you're a different person. You can't go through a traumatic experience, especially a prolonged one, and stay the same person. That's not a bad thing. It's a thing. We change all the time, and sometimes the change is quick and drastic. I feel like after it ends, you can see your life more clearly. You can see your choices. You can discard experiences. You can gather lessons. And it's easier to recognize that this new you tends to be vastly different than how you were before. Again, just an observation. We're changing all the time. So you make a tremendous leap forward in your development. It's a very painful way to do so, but apparently we all need that at some point. When you're in the state of a dark night of the soul, you don't realize that your past is truly gone. You push to return to who you were and the life you had. And even for a period of time when you're out of the dark night of the soul, even more so you'll feel that way. I need to get back to who I was. You can't. You can never go backward. Don't be sad. Don't mourn it. Embrace who you are now, because you always want to embrace your experiences, positive or negative, and what you learned out of them. That's how we grow personally and spiritually. So it happened because you're supposed to move forward. When you're in it, it's going to not be uncommon to feel like you're going to die. It's symbolic of the death of your earlier life and the birth of a new life you can't even begin to perceive. It's common to feel cast adrift, lost, hopeless, forgotten. It seems there's no way out, but that's because you're trying to move backward. So I'm going to help you with that. You don't have to stay stuck there. Again, the only path for you is forward. One reason that some people come to the point of having one of these dark nights of the soul is through dedication to spirituality, striving to be a better person. A limitation you carry within is put right in front of your face. For me, it was being too trusting, and also wanting to help others to the detriment of myself. And I needed to have that put in front of me. My dad has teased me for decades. Oh, hey there, are you still trying to save the world? Nope, Dad, just the people I encounter. So I don't try to save people anymore. I know I can't do that. We can only save ourselves. I can impart knowledge. I can clarify. I can help unconfuse people. I can help them see some truths. And then it's up to them to save themselves. And that's something that I needed to get a grip on. And it was through a really horrendous experience I got it. I will tell you, I've been through 3 dark nights of the soul. The most recent was about a relationship with a person who was beyond a toxic narcissist. What narcissist isn't toxic? But I found out amongst all the negative things that were piling up that they'd been meeting and having sex with over 100 people and putting my health at risk and just lying about everything. And then I caught them with our female counselor in bed. So that was blow number 2. And right around that same time, a very long time dear friend passed away unexpectedly. Let me tell you, I was knocked to my knees. I saw no way that I was going to be able to move forward from that. If I did feel hopeless, I did feel like God wasn't paying attention to me anymore, which was so crazy because angels were coming in. I was seeing the parade of angels. Which I write about in my book. If you're curious about that, I'm sure I'll talk about it sometime on the show as well. But angels were talking to me. They were comforting me. They were stroking me, touching me, trying to help me understand that I was going to be more than fine. They're right. I happened more than fine. So there was no way all this was true, but that's how I felt. That's, it's about how you feel. And so it's impossible not to look at what's happened, not to examine it. It's kind of hard to see a faith you've carried through many lifetimes. It's very possible that I have for lifetimes struggled. I know I've had lifetimes where I was a nun and a monk and other spiritual beings, spiritual leaders. And I think that just perpetuated the tendency to give of myself too much and not expect enough in return. That's at an end now. So that's one thing I was supposed to overcome in this lifetime and never have to deal with it again. And there's a very good chance that a lot of you listening to this, watching this, the same is true for you. You wouldn't be listening to this, watching this, if there wasn't some truth in it for you, something that you're supposed to hear to take forward for yourself. When you have a dark night of your soul, it's time for you to see what's been holding you back, acknowledge it, and leave it behind. When a person is not willing to do self-reflection about their limitations, their part in what happened in their life, they are really dooming themselves to repeat it and to never grow. You cannot grow personally and spiritually without self-examination, without going inside and really taking a look at yourself, an honest look, and then working on it. If you can't even admit you have shortcomings, how in the world can you improve yourself? So it's utter torture to be in a dark night of the soul because everything feels like it's going dark. You feel dead inside, numb, lost. The mind projects that outside till you start seeing the world in a very negative light and every person on the planet in negative light. It's like, and it's all such a false illusion. There seems to be not one thing you can hold on to for assurance, no consolation for you. All you feel is emptiness and hopelessness. It's a horrible place to be. I visualize that as truly being down a deep, dark pit, not being able to get out and seeing this pinpoint of light ahead, and it just seems impossible to ever get there. People can even contemplate suicide at a time like that. I remember I never had any thoughts of what I would do, but I didn't want to go on. I didn't have a plan. I didn't think I'm going to kill myself, but I just didn't want to go on. It was too painful. I remember that vividly. And I want to say, you can't do this all on your own. You're going to need to put effort into it to save yourself. But if there's people that are reaching out to you and offering help, if you know someone you could reach out to, do it. Do it. You'd want to help somebody if they were in this place. They want to help you. Let them help you. I could not be here today as healthy and happy and whole as I am if I hadn't had my friend Brian, he listens to this show sometimes, He was amazing. He worked nights. He would call me. I'd be in my closet, curled up in a ball, sobbing. And he'd call me and he'd listen to me sob. He'd listen to me talk. He'd listen to me vent. And it was so incredibly helpful. He calmed me down and reassured me I'm a good person and this isn't about me and all blah, 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 blah. I needed that. I just needed somebody to care. And my parents reached out. And I remember my mom saying, "You can't die. We would be devastated. We couldn't handle that." And I'm like, and my daughter just checking in with me regularly. "Oh, Mom, I'm worried about you. How are you doing?" And I needed all of that. It meant a lot to me. It still does. I think about that. I'm very grateful to have so many people in my life who love me like that. People who would drive over, 100 miles or an hour away to come check on me and just see how I'm doing for themselves, to reassure themselves I'm okay and I'm getting better, and try to help take care of me any way they could. If you acted on that intention, if you started thinking, I'm going to die, I'm going to kill myself, it would nullify the immense spiritual shift you're getting ready to experience. It would be all for nothing. As it is right now, it's all for so many amazing experiences ahead of you that you couldn't get to without it. A big thing is when you're in a dark night of the soul, people tend to feel very disconnected from God or the higher power. If you're connected with angels, they're still there with you. You still feel them, hear them, see them. And that you can't discount. But a lot of people will tell me they felt like God forgot about them. And that's, again, an internal perception based on just being beaten down spiritually, emotionally, verbally, sometimes physically. It's not that you stop believing in God, but more that you feel like God's not reaching out to you, and you could think that God's not hearing you or caring about your difficult situation, that he's indifferent to your suffering, and that's not the case at all. This is an intense lesson you're learning. So it brings about a condition that's not life and yet not death, and you're just in this existing mode. It's an appalling void where you just simply exist. And in this condition, there's only stagnation and this feeling of abandonment. You don't want to stay in that 1 second longer than you must. So you can make up your mind. You don't need me to tell you all of this. If you're in a dark night of the soul right now, or you recently had one, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you haven't had one yet, this will prepare you. You'll know what's going on. I want to go over a few signs for you and just do a little checklist. If you have 4 or more of these, you might be in a dark night of the soul. Feeling depression, hopelessness, health issues, inability to focus, difficulty working, reduced income, usually because of the difficulty working, insomnia, fear or anxiety, that's a real big one, inability to make decisions, suicidal ideation, and I also think that's not wanting to go on, isolating, sadness and crying, feeling disconnected on a spiritual side, and your self-care is slipping. You're not bathing, you're not dressing, you're not fixing you're not even washing your hair or brushing your hair. Things like that can slip. There's other signs, but these are the primary ones. If you think you're in a dark night of the soul, or you've recently got a leg out, it's important that you dive into your recovery, that you dive into saving yourself. And again, anyone who wants to help you, allow them. If you let this situation, this dark night of the soul, go on too long, you have some major risks. One of them is severe health issues. I got so stressed from the years of this and the escalation of it that my organs were starting to shut down, and it took me almost a year to rebuild them back up with the help of some specialists. And it's cortisol rushing through your body. It destroys more than your adrenal glands. It destroys other organs in your body, taking years off your life. You can lose your job. Again, that inability to focus, maybe taking too many days off, not getting things done at work. You could lose your housing because your income's dropped. You could lose friends. You could become mired in fear, frozen. lose trust in God and your angels, and even come to a place where you literally see nothing to do except taking your own life. There's nothing to be gained by staying in that pit 1 second longer than you have to. It doesn't have to be like this. The longer you get it, let it go, the worse it gets. Again, let's go over some steps like getting out of the pit, because that's the main thing that it's about here. It doesn't have to have you trapped. It may feel like it, but you have choices. And, this is something I tell clients all the time. They're like, I had no choice. And I'm like, let's really look at that. I can think of a few choices you had. And they're like, but I didn't want to do that. That's not the same thing as not having choices. We always have choices. Very often the choices are scary or daunting or just a turn off to you, just don't want to do that. But you have choices, and not taking any of those choices is a choice to stay trapped where you are. You have control over that. When you're down this low, you really need to build up your inner strength, your confidence, and it's done step by step. The longer you've been in, if it's a relationship, if it's, the death of someone that you're having trouble getting out of the pit, the longer you stay in the pit and the longer the situation goes on, the longer the recovery time will be. The worst thing you can do for yourself, I'm going to go back to, and the reason I keep hammering on the relationship part is because I see clients almost every day who are in a dark night of the soul, or they're really just a little bit out of it, trying so hard they don't know what to do. Almost always it's about a relationship, and it's usually women. So, and maybe because women are more likely to reach out for help than men are. However, I'm telling you now that you have to get strong. You have to take action. You got to build yourself up. There's no way, if you, let's say you were married for 30 years to a toxic, really bad narcissist, and you've recently come out of your dark night of the soul, you're not going to recover in 3 months. You might not recover in 3 years. My last relationship was 8 years, and I have been single almost 8 years, working on myself, because I realized I didn't have the tools I do now. I didn't have the experience, the knowledge that I did when I was married to a sociopath very young. I married him at 19, and we were married 10 years, and it was a nightmare except for our daughter. So that was another dark night of the soul. I never really healed from that. I didn't know what to do. I just went on with my life. I was a single parent, and he died shortly thereafter, and I needed to go on. But now I realized after this recent toxic relationship, I had to heal not only from that almost 8-year relationship, but from that previous 10-year marriage. And so, yeah, I've chosen to be single. I've dated casually a little bit, just gone out with people socially, see a movie, have dinner, but I haven't let myself become intimate, and I haven't fallen in love. I'm not ready. Every time, I may be now, but every time in the past that I thought I wanted to date again, I would attract narcissists and sociopaths. And I'll tell you how you can know that pretty quickly. But I realize if I'm attracting that, then my frequency is not high enough yet. I'm not healed enough to be attracting the people that I want to be with. And so I need to work on myself more. And I did. I do meditation every day. I get out in nature. I exercise. I eat a healthy diet. I tell myself good things. There's just so many things that I've done. And I've had healing services from friends and people that work with me that are friends, just so many different kinds of healing and clearing. And none of it's been wasted. I'm not sorry. I would rather be single the rest of my life than be with the wrong person for even a day. That's the bottom line. And that's kind of a place you want to strive to achieve. Not that I'm so fabulous for getting there. I'm proud of myself for getting there, because it's a reflection of all the hard work I've done to heal and get stronger than I ever was before. So let's talk about the first step here. What's the first thing you can do to just start getting like one leg up on the rim of this pit? Get up, take a shower. If you're listening to the show and you're in a dark night of the soul right now, take a shower, wash the negativity off from within and without. I have a little thing you can say. It's not a prayer. It's just something to say. and it's on my website, ivoryangelicmedium.com. And it's about letting hot water run over the top of your head, right under your crown chakra. And as you're standing under the stream of water, you're saying this under the blue waterfall of God's love and protection, washing away all negativity from within and without. And I add a little thing to that, leaving me a pure and radiant reflection of God's love. Because when people look at me and around me, all I want them to see is light and love and feel light and love. I need that for myself, and I need to give that to my clients and the people in my life. It's very effective. So you can find that on my website under the resource tab, and there's a drop-down menu and you'll see spiritual protection. It's on that page. And then dress in something that you feel good in, not just like sweats, but something that makes you feel good about how you look in it. And if you're in the dark night of soul right now, stop listening, stop watching right now and go do it. Then come back and finish, because it's that important, really. And do it every day. You need to do this every day. Then sit down and take 10 long, deep breaths. We don't breathe deeply enough in the world anymore, especially in our society. Rush here, rush there. We're always so busy. So we do these shallow breaths that don't really give our body the oxygen it needs. So sit down and just purposely take a deep breath in through your nose and hold it a couple of seconds and release it in a long, slow hiss. So until you run out of breath. See how long you can go. Do it 10 times. It forces your body and your mind to relax. And you need that. Your body's been under assault from the cortisol rush, from all the negative things you've been through and feeling. You need to give yourself some good deep breaths. With every breath in, you feel your energy rise and grow. And with every breath out, negativity and trauma is leaving your body. I'm a big one for visualizations when I do things like this. It makes it more powerful for me, and maybe it will for you too. And then out loud, ask your angels, like, intervene on my behalf and help me create the life I desire. Help me be strong and healthy. Help me overcome what I've gone through and use it to my advantage moving forward. Whatever you want to say, put it in your own words, something that touches your heart, and ask for their help directly. When you ask them to intervene, then they don't worry about your your right to make decisions for yourself, because you're giving them permission to overcome that. Spend a few minutes visualizing in your mind what that ideal life looks like. See it, make it come to life, make it real in your mind. Do that regularly. Pick up the phone and call a person who loves or cares about you. If you are 100% sure that when you tell them what you've been going through and ask them for help, they're going to want to help you, call that person, call several, and be prepared to tell them something concrete that they can help you with, because people get in a situation. I was talking to one of my coworkers the other day about how it's really hard when you lose someone in your life and people want to help, and instead family, friends will avoid you. And it's not that they don't care, they don't love you, they don't want to help, they have no idea what to say or what to do. So just be prepared. Maybe you want to say, they say, okay, what can I do to help? Could you check in with me for a brief call every day for a little while? Just to check in on me, just so I know somebody's thinking about me, I have somebody to talk to. Could you come visit me this week? As soon as possible, come visit with me a little bit and let's just talk. Whatever it is, you know what you need, ask for the help. You would give it to your loved ones. You need to be ready to receive it. That's healthy. And it's only kind. Why would you want to deny the people who love and care about you a chance to help you through one of the worst times of your life? So, isolation only prolongs the state of a dark night of the soul. And you're going to allow people to help lift you out of this pit. Just take one action towards making your life better. For instance, if you went through a toxic relationship that led to your dark night of the soul, here's one of the biggest things for me that helped me so much is make a list of the red flags that you can look back at the beginning of the relationship with this person. What were the red flags that warned you? And they were there, you can see them, you look back, hindsight's 2020. What were they? Write it down on like an index card or something that size. Go back to the relationship before that. Write down the red flags you saw from that. If it's the same ones, you don't need to write them twice. Till you've got about 10 behaviors, 10 signs, red flags. Tape it to your bathroom mirror or in your kitchen cabinet where you'll see it many times a day. Because when you think you're ready to date again, you need to keep yourself emotionally distanced enough to not fall in love with them, to not put on rose-colored glasses so that you're seeing these new people very clearly, very objectively. And if you see one of your red flag behaviors show up in them early, if it's a serious one, you might just want to say next, and you don't see them anymore or communicate with them anymore. And you can simply say, I've realized we're not a good match. This isn't going to work out. You don't owe them, you don't need to tell them your life story or explain. If they have those kind of signs, they're going to try to become who you want and manipulate you into another toxic relationship. Eventually, when doing this, it's so helpful to build your confidence, your self-esteem, your inner strength, because you become very aware of these behaviors. And then to a point where you realize, I will never be in a relationship with someone like that again. They can't get that past me. For me, I felt like I didn't like it that I was still attracting narcissists and sociopaths because I saw lots of those red flags. So I asked my angels, if somebody slips by me, please let me know their true nature as quickly as possible. And here's what happened. This was you're like maybe 5 years ago. I'd go out on a date, say we're having dinner, and we'd be talking, everything's great. And then they would say something so incredibly inappropriate. And they would look like this and say, I shouldn't have said that. I don't know why I said that. And I'd be laughing because I'm thinking, I know exactly why you said that. So your angels can help you with catching this faster than you would yourself catch it. Let your angels help you with this. That told me I needed to take another long break from dating because I wasn't ready yet. I was still having a frequency that attracted people I don't want in my life. It's not just them, it's us too. You have to take, responsibility. My responsibility was I'm going to work on myself and raise my frequency even higher. So those people want nothing to do with me, which is where I'm at now, thankfully. Okay, so what you want to do is break a cycle. I don't want to forget to mention this because when your dark night of the soul is due to a toxic relationship, odds are you've had one before or several before, and it's because you're in a cycle because you didn't know how to break it. So that list of red flags is to break a cycle for you so that you don't have any more toxic relationships. Another thing you can do is every time your thinking or speaking goes to fear, anger, or sadness, focus on yourself. What do I need right now? It's not about selfishness. It's about self-awareness. It's about refocusing from what other people are or are not doing to you getting healthy, taking care of yourself, getting centered and balanced again. Your angels are going to want to help you with this. They're going to be all over it. If you need a nap and you can take one, do it. Maybe you need to drink more water or just lounge in a hammock, do some meditation, go for a walk in nature, visit with friends. Think about it. And if you can give yourself what you need in that moment, do so. And if not, wait until you you can next possibly do it. That's okay too. Something else you have total control over is forgiving yourself. Man, I beat myself up when I was in the pit and newly out of it. Like, how could I have worked in mental health the way that I have and have the education I have and be a psychic and not have seen that? Boy, my angels are coming and I hear them ringing, they're ringing right now. How could I not have seen that? And I had to come to a place where I realized I'm not that person. I'm so not that person. Not that there's anything wrong with who I was when I met that person, but I'm not that person anymore. I have evolved so far beyond that and raised my frequency so high, and my wisdom has kicked in, and my high alert for those kind of toxic people. I can't imagine choosing to stay in that once I realized that there was some red flags going on. Never, it wouldn't happen. But I cannot judge and blame myself for what I didn't know. I didn't have that knowledge, that wisdom at that time. Let's go back even further. I beat myself up mentally for decades about choosing to marry my husband, my first husband. And I was 19 years old. I went right from living in my parents' home to being married to him. And he was a sociopath. And his mother warned me, and I didn't understand what she was trying to tell me. I was too young, inexperienced, no idea what I was getting into. But 2 weeks into it, it was very clear that in private, the man was a monster. And I got pregnant really fast. So we had a daughter together. That was the great thing that came out of it. But it was 10 years of hell most of the time. And I did come out of that very, very damaged. But I used to blame myself, like, how could you choose such a person to be the father of your children? Why did I stay so long? You cannot fairly look back at who you were decades ago and judge that version of yourself. I had to forgive myself, and you need to forgive yourself for the choices you made, the knowledge you didn't have, for being innocent, for being young, whatever it is. You can be innocent at an advanced stage. So forgive yourself. Another thing that's free on my website to any of you, please pass the message. It's for anybody. On that same website, ivoryangelicmedium.com, under resources, you'll see the forgiveness prayer. There's 2 on there. Start with the top one, written by Roberta Hartzog, and you do that as many times as a day as necessary. Start with forgiving yourself. Once you leave the blame and the shame behind you, it's easier for you to start healing. You have nothing to blame yourself for. It was a lesson. You needed it. Your angels and God decided you needed it. And it's going to bring about a new version of you that allows you to be better and stronger. You don't need to blame yourself. Forgive yourself. Then work on forgiving the people who wronged you. You deserve to have that weight lifted off of you. It is a great deal of healing through doing that work. Take some time to write down the lessons and wisdom you learned through that experience, through the whole dark night of the soul, and what led to it. What did you get out of it? Because when you start focusing on that, it's easier to detach from the trauma and focus on the growth. It allows you to expand, shift forward, and even find your life purpose. Boy, that's another one. I have people coming in just about every day. Can you tell me what my life purpose is? No, and neither can your angels. They'll give me some signs about it. They'll show me a little bit, but they're not going to say, you're supposed to be a counselor. They're not going to say that, because that's not how it works. You have to go through the journey of discovery to be prepared to be successful. So this can be one of the ways that propels you towards your life purpose, or the next phase of your life purpose. It can help change your whole perspective about yourself, your life, and the world. And I have to say, for myself, I know I would not be sitting here helping you, doing this show, having written the book, helping people at my business with their spirituality, their personal growth, all of this, connecting with angels, had I not gone through that last dark night of the soul. Because some amazing things happened in the middle of that, like connecting with somebody who made me understand that my natural ability to hear and see and feel angels can be used to help others. Never occurred to me, but something casual that she said put that seed in my mind, and it was near the end of the relationship. So little pieces, I can look back and see how the puzzle was coming together, and it was becoming a clear picture. And then when my angel said, you've got to move to Sedona, and you're going to open a business, you're going to help people, you're going to show your face and use your name. And I'm like, I had run from that for so long because I worked in mental health, and I didn't want to lose my career, lose my credibility in that field. And they're like, you're out of that. That's over and done. But what I didn't see is that I'd still be doing so much counseling work in my current field. So it's awesome, better than ever. If you haven't heard of CODA, which is Codependence Anonymous, it's something I recommend to my clients who are in a dark night of the soul, or usually like just coming out of it. There are skills in there you learn that are so helpful for relationships, setting boundaries, which is just crucial. You need to learn how to set boundaries for what you will accept and won't accept in future relationships, and then stick to them. If somebody keeps crossing your boundary in any situation in life, they don't respect you, and they're showing their lack of respect for you. If you ask, remind them again, this is a boundary. So a lot of people have no idea how to do that. They need to be taught. I think that's one of the most valuable things about CODA. You can go to those meetings in person or online. They're nearly free. And the best thing too is you get this amazing circle of support of people who get it. They understand, even if it's all about relationships at CODA. So whether it was your parents, whether it's a loved one, whether it's a friend that led to your dark night of the soul, it's about relationships. All of them have been through it or are going through it. So you have people with wisdom ahead of where you are on your journey of recovery, people who need your wisdom, somebody who wants to hear where you're at. They want to support you. And I still am friends with some of the wonderful people I met in the group I went to, which was kind of in Carefree, Arizona. It was wonderful. Love those people. And I think that if everybody in the world went to CODA, a few CODA meetings and lessons in junior high, we'd have a very different world when it came to relationships. People need to be taught about boundaries. So you're going to gain a lot of insight. Another thing you have total control over is doing some practices like gratitude. I love to start my day and finish my day with gratitude. And it's so simple. I wake up and I'm like, God, I am so thankful for a lovely house to live in, wonderful friends, my music, my business and clients, being able to help people. Thank you for my gifts. Thank you for my daughter. I mean, just, every time I do it, morning and night, what I thank them for shifts. Some stay the same, but it shifts. And whatever just pops into your mind, it doesn't mean you're not thankful for the other things, but it's important to verbalize this. You're focusing on the blessings you have in your life and not what you lack. It brings more abundance into every area of your life. Abundance is far more than about money. So find a spiritual circle, find your tribe, people who get it, people who understand what you're talking about. You can do that with CODA. When you're on a spiritual journey and you've been through a dark night of the soul, I think you can find a spiritual circle to be really helpful too. I love the modern way is go to meetup.com and you enter the term spiritual or spirituality and how far you're willing to drive. And up comes a list of places you can try. If there's none in your area, consider starting your own and making it casual. You just meet in a restaurant, you're going to have a beverage and a snack, and you're going to talk about how you're doing and where you're at right now in your journey, what you're experiencing. Later, it may become something more formal or more focused, but you just need to meet people who get you, who understand what you've been through, what you're going through, and how it pertains to a spiritual journey. So there's just a whole lot of ways here that you're going to be able to save yourself, but please do reach out for help to others that you know are going to be helpful. Or when others reach out to you, don't turn them away. Don't say, I'm fine, I'll be fine. Be ready. If you need them to go grocery shopping for you because you just can't face it that day and you need some groceries, give them some money in a list and send them off on their way. There's many things that you can do to help and be prepared. Just let them help you. That's love. You want to give help and you need to be able to accept help when you need it too. And we all do at certain times in our life. Your angels are going to be so excited that you are reaching out for help and accepting help. You're going to get more help and guidance from them because that's a sign to them that you're healing. So you can expect to get more messages, more signs, guidance of all kind when you begin to heal. Your frequency clears so you're able to receive more of that guidance easier. I want to point out, sometimes I forget, and my angels get onto me later. I have a book. It's called Let Your Angels Lead. I'll put it in front of my face so you can see it. And it's available on Amazon. And a lot of the things I talk about on the show are in this book and in more depth. And there's some exercises at the end of that chapter that would be very helpful for you to heal further, get strong, get positive, build your self-esteem. If you have questions about this, you can email me at any time. My email is in the show description. Email me. I also offer spiritual counseling, which is helping people. A big thing I do is helping people with their dark night of the soul. And I'm here to help. That's, the angels and God have put me on this mission, and I'm loving it. And don't be shy to reach out. In the meantime, just know that next week, the topic is moving past spiritual stalls. So if you're on a spiritual journey and you've been working it and you're not seeming to making progress, things you can do to get beyond that, to push past those barriers. And I've got some great concrete ways you can do that. In the meantime, may your angels surround you. May your angels protect you every moment, every day of your life. I'll see you next week.